Do you want to quickly get a big fish weighing several hundred pounds? It can be done with just a harpoon. Such a big guy fell silent in an instant. Although it seems quite easy, but the tools they use are no ordinary ones. This harpoon can discharge 1 kilowatt of electricity per second. The moment the operator hit the tuna, the crew in the cockpit immediately let off steam. The tuna was electrocuted and became stiff immediately. I could only obediently be pulled onto the ship. There isn't even a chance to struggle. With the start of this year's tuna catching season, let me introduce the participants of this year. Captain Taylor of the Moon led the crew. Do the preparatory work before departure in an orderly manner. They loaded the pan tilt at the bow one by one. Then he set sail for the vast sea. Taylor has been struggling in this line of work for 40 years. Have extremely rich experience in tuna fishing. Judging from his confident posture, it seems that the championship of this season belongs to him alone. Captain Joe of the Red Drum, she, is the youngest captain of this season, although he is full of vitality. But I haven't participated in fishing work for 2 years. Its technical level is bound to decline somewhat. However, he recruited an experienced old man. This undoubtedly can make up for his deficiency. Therefore, he still has considerable competitiveness. The captain of the Ease, Nico, he is also leading the crew members to prepare for battle in a tense manner. There is no need to introduce him too much. He insists on exercising all year round, and once participated in the strongman competition, although the championship was not mentioned. Presumably, the performance is not outstanding. In fact, Nico is not the real captain. His father is. Unfortunately, an accident claimed a life. Therefore, Nico is determined to win this year's competition. I wish to dedicate victory to my deceased father. Captain Taylor of the Moon, officially engage in fishing operations. Given that this year's quota is as high as 59 tons, he appeared rather composed. It seems that there is plenty of time to squander. However, they're not the only ones engaged in this line of work. How did you come up with this idea? When they were searching for tuna at sea, unexpectedly, a red drum and bugle was spotted in the distance. Their luck seems to be exceptionally good. Just arrived at the sea, then a large group of fish was discovered. However, their actions, it was all secretly observed by Joe on another ship. It's only the first day of a new season. Yours will start to be the 6th one. Nico gazed at the whale on the sea surface, realized that there will be tuna nearby. One can witness this scene on the first day. The luck is really good. Meanwhile, Joe also made some discoveries. A group of seabirds are gathered ahead. This scene indicates that the tuna is about to appear. However, at this time, Nico, bait schools of fish have been discovered. This kind of fish is exactly the favorite of tuna. It seems that every seafarer, everyone has made their own discoveries. It's just unknown whether they can catch tuna. But my intuition tells me it's Joe. After all, there is a helper in the sky, Mark. He looked down at the party over the sea, but no trace of tuna could be found. This confused old Denmike. Alas, it's not on the moon. There is also the pilot, Doug. He is circling at a speed of 70 miles per hour. Search for traces of tuna. And another air scout, Mark. It was found that there were numerous ripples on the sea surface ahead. After landing in the air, confirmed that it is exactly tuna. Mark excitedly informed Joe immediately. Joe immediately steered the boat closer. When approaching, Joe is preparing to walk towards the bow of the boat. This move seems risky. In fact, it is extremely unsafe. If too much force is applied when throwing the harpoon, I'm afraid I'll fall into the sea along with the harpoon. Not to mention that he hasn't engaged in this profession for 2 years. Unfortunately, the tuna ran away first. He wasn't given a chance to jump into the sea. The main cause of the sudden escape of tuna, it lies in the fact that the ship is moving too fast. It frightened the tuna on the sea surface. Now, they have to search again. Let's take a look at the moon again. After learning about Joe's situation, they felt a wave of relief. The first tuna of this year didn't fall into their hands. If the jackpot is gone, my luck is likely to get worse later on. However, the circling Doug was very powerful. After a long circling, finally, the tuna group was discovered. It seems there are as many as more than 10. It seems to be captured easily. Taylor immediately raised the ship to the maximum speed. Strive to approach at the fastest speed. Use the harpoon in your hand. Give the tuna in the sea an electrotherapy. Tuna processed in this way. There will be no red temperature phenomenon. The quality of the meat will not deteriorate either, so that the highest quality tuna can be caught. Sell at a high price from middlemen. As they approached the school of fish, everyone was extremely excited, especially Taylor in the front. After identifying the target, thrust it down quickly. After a successful hit, Sean on the ship immediately began electrotherapy. After continuous processing, this tuna was finally subdued. Be easily controlled by the side of the ship. When they pulled the tuna onto the deck, its length was measured to be 85 inches. Look at such plump tuna. It is sure to be sold at a good price. Look at the red drum and bugle again. They discovered tuna again. Send Mark to confirm immediately. However, he didn't see the tuna. Instead, I met another group of contestants, Dylan. The pine box was precisely his ship. Dylan has been in this line of work for 35 years. Although there is no aircraft assistance, it can only be observed with the naked eye. But they can still catch tuna. One can't help but admire their sharp eyesight. At this time, they made a new discovery. A group of fish are swimming ahead. Meanwhile, Mark is soaring in the sky. The school of fish was also noticed. Both sides set off towards the target tuna, attempting to take advantage of the time when the fish are feeding. Give the tuna a surprise attack. Joe is standing at the bow of the boat. Get ready to shoot tuna. At this time, Dylan also rushed to the bow. Throw the harpoon from the high platform, but failed to hit the target. Instead, it scattered the whole group of fish. Even Mark lost track of the school of fish. Captain Joe of the Red Drum was furious. It was just one step away from achieving something. But because of the appearance of the pine wood box number ahead, it causes the schools of fish in the sea to disappear instantly. When the ships of both sides approach, Joe immediately accused Dylan of his mistake. Try to seize the initiative. However, this move did not work. Dylan paid no attention at all. After all, he is just performing his duties. Stay away from the red drum and bugle. They were lucky to find the target again. Tuna appeared in front of me. Dylan walked quickly to the bow of the boat. Hold the harpoon and be fully prepared. Follow the tuna for a distance. The fish entered the attack range. Dylan threw the harpoon resolutely. Emmett released the electric current immediately. The tuna was instantly electrocuted, floating feebly on the sea surface, until being bound by two people. Only then did I struggle a little. Soon the two people dragged the tuna onto the boat. All of this was witnessed by Lao Lu, who was standing by. Joe's anger grew even more intense. Why did Dylan disperse his school of fish earlier? Turning around, one can catch tuna.
This sucks.
The fish caught by Dylan was measured to be 86 inches long, although it is not a giant tuna. But the competition has just begun. They're still satisfied. Marvel at God's favor towards them. However, the people on the red drum and bugle. But one feels beset by bad luck. Since the beginning of the competition, they have invested nearly $20,000. If several tunas cannot be caught, Joe really doesn't know how to fill this deficit. The captain of the E's, Nico, at the moment, one is under tremendous pressure. All the crew members have families. A large amount of money is urgently needed to raise children. However, no tuna has been caught so far. The pressure is getting heavier and heavier. Fortunately, it seems that heaven has not forgotten them. Traces of tuna appeared ahead. Nico rushed quickly to the bow. Search eagerly for the figure of the tuna. However, when he saw the creatures in the sea clearly, be extremely disappointed in an instant. It excited them greatly. It turned out to be just a dolphin. There is no other way at the moment. After all, it is impossible to turn dolphins into tuna. At this time, there was already a tuna on the moon. This undoubtedly enhanced their confidence. Doug, who was circling, thus became more active. Soon he brought good news to Taylor. Several tunas were found at the 10 o'clock direction. Taylor left the driver's seat immediately, walked quickly towards the bow, stand on the observation platform. He quickly commanded the ships to approach the school of golden gun fish. After locking onto the largest one among them, the harpoon pierced precisely into the tuna. Todd followed closely behind and gave an electric shock. The tuna is in the numbing, remained motionless feebly. Even if tied up, nor did they resist at all. After they pulled the tuna onto the boat, measurement revealed that this fish was as long as 87 inches. It is indeed a high-quality tuna. It is believed that it can bring them rich rewards. Taylor, who caught 2 tunas. I can't wait to go back at the moment. Sell the tuna in hand. And on the deck, the red drum and bugle were still empty. After learning that Taylor had gained something again, at that moment, it felt as if the sky had fallen. Why did I gain nothing myself? One can only stare blankly at the whales on the sea surface, and their dolphins closely following the bow. There, I was secretly saddened, and at this moment, Mike beside him noticed something unusual ahead. It seems to be a group of tuna. Joe didn't dare to be negligent either and immediately walked off the deck. Get ready to throw the harpoon. Confirmed by Mark in heaven. This is indeed a group of tuna. After guiding Mike in the direction, then they continued to observe in the sky. And ahead, Joe was determined to avenge his previous humiliation. Facing so many tunas, if there is no further gain, then he could really jump into the sea to catch it. When the tuna enters the attack range, Joe threw the harpoon quickly. Mike also began to discharge electricity immediately, looking at the tuna that is powerless to struggle. Several people acted quickly. As this fish was dragged onto the boat, they finally achieved their first win. Looking at this plump tuna, 75 inches were measured, although it is slightly small in size. But for those who have been frustrated for nearly a day, it is already a great satisfaction. It was decided immediately to return to the port for sale, and Nico was still at sea. There seems to be some distortion in my heart. To avoid returning empty-handed, facing the school of fish without tuna, a harpoon was fired, although I was lucky enough to catch a fish. But the build is rather thin and small. It's even less than 1/10 of Thomas's, but at least it can save some money for dinner. Joe steered the boat back to the port smoothly and found the acquirer booba, although I have no idea about the selling price of this fish. But considering that the size of tuna is not large, the expected returns might be limited. After Booba cut the fishtail meat, examine the sample in your hand, gave a high evaluation. The texture of the fish meat is excellent. Willing to acquire at $20 per pound. After eliminating the useless parts, this fish weighs 185 pounds net, although the weight is slightly insufficient. But fortunately, the unit price is quite high. It ultimately brought in an income of $3,700. However, after deducting various miscellaneous fees, there is almost no profit to be made today. However, as the first day income, several people still felt satisfied. Next comes the situation of the pine wood box number. Captain Dillon knew well that his fish was too small in size. It is difficult to earn substantial profits. I only expect the fish to be of superior quality. It could bring some income. After the purchaser cuts out the fishtail meat, explain in detail to Dillon. This piece of meat has a bright color. It has a lustrous touch and is rich in fat. It is quite popular in the market. It can be acquired at $19 per pound. This tuna weighs 169 pounds. Brought them $3,211. Although the remuneration is not generous, they still signed the sales form. The crew members also readily accepted. After all, everyone knows the size of this fish. Finally, it was Taylor's turn for the 2 fish. This game surprised Booba quite a lot. It's unexpected that someone achieved such excellent results on the first day. After Booba got the tuna, cut the meat of the first fish immediately. Indicates slightly inferior quality. Only a price of $15 can be offered. The second tuna, however, is completely different. The meat quality is superior, and both the color and fat are of superior quality. It can be sold at a price of $19 per pound. The first tuna weighed 236 pounds. The second one weighs 288 pounds. Ultimately, Taylor earned an income of $8,993 after the first day ended. As for Nico, who was a captain for the first time, he made no gain. The rest of the people all had different gains. It is unknown whether Nico can turn the situation around tomorrow. That's all for this episode. Give it a thumbs up, and let's look forward to the next wonderful episode together.